Alright, welcome back. Today, we have recorded another video for watching irritating paleontologists. Paleontologists. I know you can't see me, but I'm doing the quotes. I'm just calling them paleontologists because I misspoke, by the way. I didn't mean to say paleontologists. I meant to say YouTube videos. We'll let that in post. Alright, so we have these two videos. 10 most shocking recent dinosaur discoveries. And dinosaurs were, wrong one. Yeah, this one. Time prehistoric discoveries will make you glad dinosaurs. Now, me personally, I wish they were alive. I think it would be awesome having dinosaurs as a pet. Yeah. Alright, so we're starting off with AI thumbnails. This isn't fun. This isn't AI. This is definitely AI. This is AI. That isn't AI, I don't think. And this is definitely AI. I'm going to say, this is Origin Explained. I guess shout out to her. That really want.
Hey, it's Katrina. Number 10. The day. Hi.
So after editing out an ad, we will continue. Make sure to like, and I'm not subscribing to her, but subscribe to me.
Katrina. Number 10. The day of the asteroid.
Hey, you need to go back. 10 most shocking recent dinosaur discoveries.
Hey, it's Katrina. Number 10. The day
the asteroid paleontologists.
Paleontologists have just made one of the most exciting dinosaur discoveries from the past 10 years. A team led by Dr. Robert De Palma uncovered the fossilized leg of a dinosaur. The leg was so immaculately preserved that it still had skin attached. This is the first
that doesn't
time
look like
skin, on a dinosaur. And if there was any discovery that could contribute to cloning a dinosaur, this would be it. Researchers believe the leg belonged to a dinosaur living in North Dakota at the exact time the asteroid slammed into the planet. According to Paul Barrett, a researcher at London's Natural History Museum, the leg belongs to Thessallosaurus, an herbivorous dinosaur whose name means wonderful lizard in ancient Greek. Based on his examination of the fossil, Barrett said the dinosaur's leg was likely ripped off very quickly, and the limb bears no signs of disease or having been picked apart by scavengers. This means that the dino was roaming the land 66 million years ago until it died on that fateful day when the asteroid hit.
Oh, God!
Unfortunately, the discovery is so new that the details haven't been worked out yet. Some researchers are not
the only bad thing that's happened so far is the fact of the
Thessallosaurus has been a bit of a mystery to scientists because they were unclear what
the fact that
its
she's
skin
using
looked
AI
like.
thumbnails,
But now
and the
that
fact
they have
that
some of its skin,
there's no skin on there.
I
just don't see it.
The creature was scaly like a lizard and did not have feathers.
I paused it because I finally said raptors was scaly like a lizard and didn't have feathers. I was about to correct that, but turns out no.
Like raptors did. Number 9. The dinosaur flu.
The dinosaur
Researchers have discovered the very first evidence of a dinosaur coming down with the flu. Carrie Woodruff from the University of Toronto, along
basically
with
every disease now existed when the dinosaurs were alive.
This was a type of long-neck herbivorous dinosaur which lived all throughout what is today southwest Montana. They named the dinosaur Dolly after Dolly Parton. What the team discovered is nothing short of shocking. They already knew Dolly was under 20 years old when she died. This was during the late Jurassic period, 150 million years ago. What they didn't know was that Dolly had been sick. Its fossil provided the very first evidence of a lung disease in a dinosaur. According to Woodruff, whatever Dolly had come down with, it was consistent with respiratory infections found in birds today. It was a lot like a respiratory disease that some birds get when they breathe in fungal spores. This was evident by the broccoli-shaped bone growth in the dinosaur's neck. Even in the fossil, the researchers could see how the infection had spread from the lungs to the bones and mutilated them, causing the broccoli-like growths. This is arguably one of the most important dinosaur discoveries ever. It shows that dinosaurs suffered from the same common respiratory disorders that birds and humans suffer from as well. Knowing that dinosaurs were already experiencing respiratory infections, the same kind of respiratory infections that transmit from birds
not making
to
fun of
humans
anyone
and
who didn't
cause
notice,
pandemics
but I
is
thought this was pretty
monumental.
common knowledge.
And believe it or not, dinosaurs exhibited the same symptoms as us. They would have trouble breathing, get headaches, coughing, fevers, diarrhea, and sneezing. Just like us, dinosaurs came down with nasty cases of sore throat and sniffles.
Yes, this should be
Number
common
8.
knowledge.
The
They got the
Spinosaurus.
sniffles?
Yeah, so we're doing the recent dinosaur discovery. Spinosaurus was discovered in like 1920.
100 million years ago, in what is today the Sahara Desert, there was a ferocious predator. This predator was a titan of a
Outdated
dinosaur,
Spino.
and the only one science knows about that had the ability to both
Okay, see,
swim
that's
and
like
live
that's
on
what it's
land.
like.
Back in the days of the dinos, Morocco and the surrounding desert was more of a lush jungle, teeming with rivers, lakes, and all kinds of exotic life.
Outdated.
There was one dinosaur who ruled
That's
over
not
the
even a
whole
Spino.
area, a river monster by the name of Spinosaurus. It had
Outdated.
a tail-like fin, teeth over 6 inches long, and it could catch prey on land and also slip into the river and hunt in the water. This is a feat no other dinosaur,
I think
at
she
least that we
made this
know of,
animation
has
for the
ever
video.
managed to pull
She might
off.
have.
And to make things even more shocking,
why
the
does it look like a
Spinosaurus
rock?
could be over 50 feet long and weigh upwards of 20 tons. A
We're going to look that up and just check. And we're going to continue with the video.
measuring 35 feet from its snout to its tail. This one
Fun fact, the original Spinosaurus was discovered. It was put in Germany.
was a
So,
juvenile,
the
only weighing
tons
about
was
4
good.
tons. But if it had grown into an adult, it would have had no natural predators.
Yeah, it's a carnivore. Do you expect it to have natural predators?
It was basically a T-Rex that could swim, making it one of the most dangerous carnivores that ever lived. Number 7. Chief Dragon. The oldest meat-eating dinosaur ever discovered in the United
dropped
Kingdom is a
something.
creature nicknamed Chief Dragon.
Chief Dragon.
Its remains were originally discovered over 50 years ago at a Welsh quarry. 4 small fragments are all that were found, but they were enough for scientists to put the whole beast together. Using these tiny bones, researchers at the London Natural History Museum were able to determine that the chief dragon had existed
She talks very
200
quietly.
million
It's kind of
years
hard to
ago.
hear her.
It was an apex predator, a miniature dragon about the size of a chicken, but with an exceptionally long tail. Dr. Stephen Spikeman called it a typical theropod, a carnivorous dinosaur that wandered around on 2 legs. It was just like a T-Rex or a velociraptor, but existed way earlier and was a lot smaller. But it's the age
Yeah, of
that
course it
really
was a lot
makes
smaller.
this dinosaur so fascinating.
Also, that raptor was
Scientists know
gigantic.
it's definitely 200 million years old, but could be as old as 214 million. That would be the late Triassic period, at the very emergence of dinosaur life. To give you some
So then
idea
the
of the
late
timeline we're
Triassic.
looking at here, the T-Rex showed up around 81 million years ago, between the
first
evolution
one
of
was
the
later.
English chicken-sized dragon and the beast we all know and love from pop culture. 133 million years had gone by.
Why are we
Number
using
6,
JP Rex?
Big John.
Alright, Big John the
Big John is
Trike.
the biggest Triceratops skeleton ever found. He was a beast, a monster so big he could have rammed through a school
showed us
bus and kept on
Styracosaurus.
running. But according to researchers, Big John may have been killed during a fight with another, even larger Triceratops.
So a medium
They
John.
started investigating.
I'm going to tell you. He was not killed. He got a hole in, I believe, his throat. An infection spread there, and carnivores saw him as weaker prey.
After coming across a bizarre opening in its
See?
frill,
Yeah.
a big crown on its
See?
head
Yeah.
above the horns.
How do you
The
go on
opening
Big John
appeared
if
to
you
be
just go by a
left over from some kind of battle.
larger?
After
We don't even-
analyzing the
we
location,
don't have that fossil.
shape,
We know
and
if
size
it's
of the
larger.
mysterious injury, researchers from the G. D'Annunzio University in Italy concluded it was left behind by the horn of another Triceratops. In life, Big John was about 26 feet long, and his skull was roughly 6.6 feet wide. 60% of his skeleton was found in the Hell Creek Formation of South Dakota in 2014. After he was put back
I
together
thought
and
it was
analyzed,
found earlier than
his
that.
fossilized remains were sold at an auction in Paris for $7.2 million.
For
That's
seven-
how big and impressive Big John is. And while his skeleton might be gone, scientists still have all the information they need from their examination. They believe he got into a brawl with another Triceratops and suffered a major injury
Didn't
from
we already
getting
go
a
over
horn
this?
through his
Right.
frill. But this wasn't what killed him.
Yep.
At least not initially. His bones show signs of healing, so he must have walked away from the fight and lived a little while longer. But before the wound could completely heal, he died. It's likely he got infected after the injury and then died a very slow and probably very agonizing death. spread out
Well,
over
he got killed
6
when he
months.
was weaker.
Number 5, a fossilized butt. Now's the time for a chuckle if you want to be immature. 120 million years ago, a Psittacosaurus was living out its days just like any other dinosaur. It was focused on mating,
This is not
eating,
towards our target
and not
audience.
being someone else's food. What it couldn't have possibly known was that all these years
target
later,
audience is not-
scientists would
is
be
not
staring
kid- not
right up its
kids.
rear end. This is about to get gross, but remember, it's all for science. In 2021, researchers published a detailed description
why are we
of this
doing this
dinosaur's
again?
cloaca.
Yeah,
It
we're
showed
cutting
the
that out.
Number four, trapped in amber.
That's
In
gross.
2016, the tail of a dinosaur from 99 million years ago was discovered stuck in amber. It was an unprecedented discovery
very
that shocked
unnecessary.
scientists around the world. What's really cool is that the fossil is further evidence that dinosaurs had feathers instead of scales. It was Chinese paleontologist Xing Lida who came across the specimen,
Chinese people
no
are
bigger
very
than a
weird.
dried apricot.
Very
Xing
weird
found it at an amber
No
market
offense
in
to
northern
Chinese
Myanmar.
watchers.
If the paleontologist hadn't come by it and bought it, chances are someone would have bought the piece and turned it into jewelry. The traders thought there was a plant fragment inside, not an actual piece of a dinosaur. It's hard to describe just how important this discovery is. Almost 100 million years ago, a small dinosaur,
I can barely
a
hear
young
her.
Coelurosauриan belonging to the same type of predatory
Sorry, you're
dinosaurs
not
as the
saurian.
Tyrannosaurus, lost its tail. Its tail was then preserved in this tiny piece of amber in perfect condition. Scientists were able to look at the feathers of its tail in 3 dimensions, something that's never been done before. Its perfectly preserved DNA is in there. Plus, it's real physical evidence that the most ferocious dinosaurs were covered in bird-like feathers
Okay, again,
and not
Rexes were not
reptile
covered
scales.
in birds.
Number 3.
And feathers, not birds. They were not covered in birds.
Rexes were not covered in feathers. The largest one that's confirmed is the Yeti. That's outdated. Rexes was never considered to be okay, fine. Rex was considered to be covered in feathers at some point, but that's outdated. Now we have stuff like raptors being covered in feathers. Not that.
Owl dinosaurs.
Owl
A
dinosaur,
dinosaur
yeah.
an awful lot like an owl was discovered in the mid-1990s. It's a tiny bird-type dinosaur with long legs, extremely muscular
Why does spine
arms,
just
with
faint?
sharp claws on the
I
end,
don't quite understand
and it
what
lived
happened
between
after that.
81 and 75 million years ago. Its name is Chevulia deserti, and not only did it look like an owl, but it also had exceptional night vision and remarkable hearing like an owl. Researchers
kind of
were shocked
analyzing
to
this
find
soup
that
as
its
anything
hearing
wrong
and
that we're
night
not
vision were
seeing
better
much.
than that of most modern birds and other dinosaurs that came after it. Even though the fossil of this dinosaur was found 30 years ago, a new analysis has yielded more exciting information about it. Researchers from the University of Witwatersrand in South Africa analyzed its inner ear bones. What they found is that it was a nocturnal hunter, yet again, just like an owl. The dinosaur had an extremely large lagina, which is a structure responsible for hearing. The larger the structure, the more sensitive an animal's hearing is. In relation to the size of its skull,
waiting for something to
this
be
animal
wrong.
had a lagina bigger than any other that researchers have ever found in a dinosaur. And this was after comparing its inner ear to over 100 species of modern birds. The only bird they found with a lagina even remotely the same size was a barn owl. So this tiny dinosaur was basically the world's first owl. Number 2, Murder Feet Dino. A Triassic dinosaur that lived in Australia 220 million years
Of
ago
course it's in
left
Australia.
behind its footprints. A recent evaluation of this beast's mysterious tracks have shown that the creature was a small vegetarian with a long neck and feet that could kill.
Cones are so
It was in
broad.
1964 when coal miners in Australia saw the unbelievable dinosaur tracks in the ceiling of an underground cavern.
How
They
did
had
it
no
the
idea
ceiling?
what to make of it and attributed the tracks to giant
Oh, I just need
roosters.
the bottom.
But the truth is that millions of years ago, this dinosaur squished its toes through a swampy floor of moist silt. Sediment flowed into the tracks and hardened to preserve the
It's
impressions.
very dark
Underneath,
animation.
this swampy
Right.
plant
I
life
feel like
slowly
brighter
turned
color.
into coal. The sand
I'm not
around
sure.
the
I
tracks
don't-
turned into sandstone, and much later humans came along to tunnel underneath
I think
and
it's
take the
informative,
coal
but I
to
do
power their
think-
vehicles. As for the mysterious dinosaur's feet, scientists initially believed it was a carnivore
thumbnail.
because its claws looked like sickles capable of slicing flesh apart. And while it definitely had huge feet and thick claws, it was actually just a vegetarian. It was a type of
that's
quadrupedal
what you have to expect
sauropod,
for her
the earliest one ever found in Australia. Number 1, the tough duck-billed dinosaur.
We
In
don't
the
do ads.
1980s,
Oh,
the
we just
late
had to cut out an
paleontologist
ad.
Jamie Eduardo Powell discovered
a
the
lot to cut
skeleton
out
of a
this video.
duck-billed dinosaur in Argentina. The first thing he found interesting about the dinosaur was that it showed evidence of an injured foot. It looked like one of its feet had been fractured. The fossil was put in storage and forgotten about until recently, when paleontologists took another look at it. They found even more damage. This dinosaur, which lived 70 million years ago, had a fractured tailbone and a possibly cancerous tumor on its foot. In other words, it was having a really tough time. Scientists used computed X-ray tomography scans, also known as CT scans, to look at the bone samples. There were fractures in 2 vertebrae right in the middle of the dinosaur's tail. They also found erosion likely caused by infection. The fractures were partially healed, but not completely. This means they may have been responsible for the slow death of the dinosaur. All of this information was published in 2021 in the journal Cretaceous Research. This wounded monster was a hadrosaur, a plant eater known for having a mouth like a duck. It was about 30 feet long, and they could be found all over the world from 145 million years ago to 65 million years ago. It took about 500,000 years for them to die after the asteroid wiped out most of the rest of the dinosaurs. These creatures were also fascinating for the ornate crest on their skulls, which scientists believe they used for communication. We don't know what exactly injured the hadrosaur, but researchers say it was a seriously hardy animal. After all, it probably went on living for up to a year, with fractured bones and a nasty infection. Thanks for watching. Which discovery did you like the most?
Alright, now it's time for... Why the heck is everything blue? Next video.
Hi, it's Katrina.
Now we have a name now.
Deadly sea scorpion in China. Scientists in China recently discovered the fossilized remains of a...
What? Okay, this is a worse anime. Hang on, when did this one come out? 4 years. When did the last one come out? 4 years ago. Okay, so she actually got a lot better.
Hi, it's Katrina.
Everyone gets better with time.
Number 10. Deadly sea scorpion in China. Scientists in China recently discovered the fossilized remains of a terrifying monster from the sea. The creature once grew to over 3 feet in length and looked like a massive scorpion. It had an enlarged back limb covered in spines, just like a scorpion's tail, which it used to ensnare its prey. The creature, known simply as a sea scorpion, is part of the Mixopterid family of Eurypterids. They may look like our modern scorpions with huge front claws and an enlarged tail. However, these things lived millions of years ago, and they're not even related to scorpions. In total, researchers uncovered 3 fossils of this very distinct predator. They believe it lurked in shallow waters near what is today South China, between 419 and 444 million years ago. What's truly fascinating is that even eons after prehistoric swimming scorpions of massive proportions ultimately went extinct, we still have the much smaller modern versions of scorpions today in almost every part of the planet. Life still managed to re-emerge in almost the same form. Mind you, a lot smaller and far less terrifying. Number 9. The turtle of Transylvania. In the Transylvania region of Romania, scientists made an incredible prehistoric discovery. They came across the fossilized remains of a species of ancient turtle that had survived the asteroid that killed off the dinosaurs.
Why am I always
This amazing, never-before-seen Transylvanian turtle lived 70 million years ago and didn't fully go extinct until 57 million years ago. What makes this discovery particularly incredible? This timing means that even after the asteroid struck our planet and caused a mass extinction event, this turtle species survived and continued on unaffected. It wasn't that big, only about 7 inches long. However, this tiny but mighty reptile survived when the dinosaurs and other beasts of the Cretaceous period were dying off in mass. 75% of all species on Earth, along with 100% of non-avian dinosaurs, were wiped out by the 6 Mile asteroid. but not the Transylvanian turtle. This discovery has led to an interesting new theory. The team published their findings in the Scientific Journal of Systematic Paleontology, saying they believe the turtle's survival had to do with proximity. They believe that because the turtle was so much further away from the impact site, it had a better chance of surviving. The asteroid hit Mexico, and this turtle lived in Eastern Europe. Certain species groups that died in America managed to barely scrape by in Europe because it was so far from ground zero, especially semi-aquatic creatures like turtles. Among the other amazing discoveries in Transylvania have been dwarf dinosaurs and giant flying pterosaurs. The whole area used to be an island in the middle of the Tethys Sea, and so it's abundant with rare monster fossils. Number 8. The Tuatara. Scientists have discovered the most ancient reptiles still living and breathing today. It's called the Tuatara, and all of its friends are long dead. This creepy reptile crawled out of the primordial goo about 190 million years ago and is still thriving in our world. It looks like a lizard, moves like a lizard, and even sunbathes and eats insects like a lizard. But considering how old the Tuatara is, it's not technically a lizard at all. It's a mysterious creature which belongs to a group of reptiles called Sphenodontia. The first of its kind spawned sometime around 230 million years ago, possibly even as far back as 259 million years ago. Scientists don't know exactly how many of these mysterious reptiles once lived on our planet. What they do know is that the Tuatara is the only one left. Paleontologist Tiago Simoes was involved with a team of researchers who recently studied the Tuatara fossil and learned of its exceptional lifespan. Tiago recently told reporters that he and his team don't know how the creature managed to stay alive for so long, especially since it hasn't really diversified since it originally evolved. In other words, it hasn't changed almost any part of itself in over 190 million years. And just like the turtle from Transylvania, it survived the extinction of the dinosaurs. In fact, it even migrated to New Zealand after the Great Extinction 66 million years ago. How or why it managed to do this, though, remains a mystery. These days, the Tuatara can only be found in New Zealand, but fossils have been discovered all the way on the other side of the world in Arizona. The creature probably once lived across huge parts of the Earth, and now has a tiny habitat on an island at the bottom of the world. Number 7. The terrifying truth of the Velociraptor. The Velociraptor is one of the most misunderstood dinosaurs that ever existed. Paleontologists have uncovered fossils of these majestic creatures only in Central Asia and China. In North America and South America, they've discovered related species, cousins and distant relatives of the original Velociraptor, but not the Velociraptors themselves, contrary to popular belief.
Contrary to popular belief. How is that popular belief?
Additionally, the Velociraptor looked nothing like how it's been portrayed in movies since the 90s. It wasn't this sly, prowling lizard with rough skin and demonic eyes. It was actually more like a giant turkey with bright feathers and a
That's not even a turkey, that was a goose.
Attitude. Another major misconception? The Velociraptor was less than half the size it was portrayed to be in the movie Jurassic Park. It's true that there were other, larger raptors like the Utah Raptor and the Deinonychus, but the real Velociraptor was
Deinonychus.
only about 6 feet long from the tip of its tail to the point of its nose. Paleontologists call it a mid-sized feathered theropod, or a land eagle. But if there's one thing filmmakers did get right, it's that the Velociraptor was a true predator. Even though it was only the size of a miniature poodle, it was feisty and fast, and had the brains to back it up. Experts describe the Velociraptor as a hybrid between a modern wolf and a cassowary. Number 6.
Okay, well, so they didn't have the amount of intelligence in the movie. They weren't that intelligent.
The ritualistically beheaded beast. Researchers discovered the remains of a gigantic crocodile that lived in China 3,000 years ago. They believe this monster had been ritualistically beheaded in a bizarre ceremony. Here's the full story. Experts came across the fossilized remains of 2 crocodilians in China, each of them killed between 3,000 and 3,400 years ago. Never before had such creatures been discovered, and researchers soon learned they belonged to an entirely new species. This species was likely driven to extinction by humans just a few hundred years ago after being hunted mercilessly over several millennia. This species has been named Hanyusuchus sinensis in honor of a poet from the 9th century. The truly bizarre part of all this is that the remains were found with extensive evidence of violence.
Oh God.
They had obviously been killed by humans, but not for the purpose of eating.
Why?
They had likely been beheaded, and researchers have assumed it was part of some bizarre ritual. This entirely unknown species, very similar to gharials, had probably been used in rituals for thousands of years, so frequently that they were hunted to extinction. What kind of ritual do you think involved sacrificing prehistoric crocodiles? Beasts over 19 feet long?
I don't think it was a ritual.
I'd love to hear your theories in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We've got lots more videos like these coming up. Number 5. Ancient octopus.
End of the That's not the end of the video.
Octopuses. A newly discovered fossil suggesting octopuses were around before the dinosaurs. Scientists recently uncovered what they believe to be the oldest known ancestor of the octopus, a fossilized aquatic creature that lived 330 million years ago in Montana. Of course, this was during a time when Montana was completely covered with ocean. Believe it or not, most of modern Montana was once a shallow tropical ocean bay, the perfect habitat for octopuses.
Octopi! Oh my God, this guy's an idiot.
Yeah, this is, yeah.
Octopuses? Did you go to school? It's octopi!
This wasn't a huge beast. It grew less than 6 inches and had 10 limbs, 2 more than modern octopuses. According to the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History, the discovery has pushed the ancestry of the octopus back an extra 100 million years. It now looks like the octopus is one of the oldest things still alive on the planet. It came about long before dinosaurs ever evolved and survived every great extinction event since.
I'm not joking.
This new octopus is a vampiropod. Not only is it an ancient ancestor of the octopus, but it's also the ancient ancestor of the vampire squid. It was named Silipsympodi bidini after President Joe Biden. I'm sure the president is quite flattered to have an ancient ancestor of the vampire squid named in his honor, don't you think? What would you name a new species if you could? Let me know in the comments below. Number 4. Prehistoric birds.
Alright, so she
Near
saved
the Great Wall of China, researchers have discovered what has been described as a lost world of prehistoric birds. One of the newly discovered species had tiny peg-like teeth and a movable chin like a pincer. Another was a toothless bird that looked almost identical to its modern descendants. The team uncovered over 100 specimens just 80 miles from the western border of the Great Wall. These specimens lived around 120 million years ago, during the height of the age of the dinosaurs. Even more bizarre is that the bird fossils were found in an ancient graveyard at the archaeological site of Chiang Mai. There are too many specimens to delve into each one in great detail, but we can talk about the strangest of them all, the Brevidentavis. This ancient bird had a flexible, bony appendage at the tip of its lower jaw, which it used to hunt prey. It's what the professionals call an ornithuromorph bird with teeth. It had tiny fangs in its mouth and a bizarre dangly thing hanging off where its chin would be, if birds had chins. This dangly thing worked as a feeler to help find prey. The bird could actually feel through it, detecting any nearby creatures that it could eat. And finally, scientists found proof of the Archaeopteryx.
Finally, you told me the
first legitimate bird of 150 million years ago. It was a kind of bridge creature between predatory dinosaurs like velociraptors and more modern birds like your standard seagulls. Number 3. Fossilized heart. For the first time in history, scientists can finally study the heart of a fish that lived around 119 million years ago. The fish, whose skeleton was found in Brazil, is called a Rhacolepis. It's the first time a fossilized heart has been discovered belonging to any prehistoric animal. This is incredible for a whole host of reasons. As you're probably already aware, fossils almost always consist only of vertebrates, bones, and the occasional footprint. This is the first time the soft tissue of a heart was found. Normally, all organic material decays immediately after death. Organs began breaking down right away from bacterial interactions. That's why only the skeleton remains. But at the rare fossil deposit in Brazil, the Santana Formation,
Those are fossils.
researchers uncovered fish with soft parts, pieces of stomachs, and even muscle tissue. The fish with the heart was found by researchers with the Brazilian Biosciences National Laboratory. The discovery was only possible by using X-ray tomography to scan the fish fossil while it was still stuck inside limestone rock. Next, the heart was put together slice by slice using special digital software. It was the same process used to reconstruct the preserved brain of an even older fish discovered in North America that was 300 million years old. Researchers haven't discovered much information about the heart just yet, but they are hoping that with more time, they'll be able to gain a deeper understanding of evolutionary patterns and the development of soft organs in prehistoric animals. Number 2. Lizard in amber. Amber is a pretty fancy term for fossilized tree sap. You might remember amber from the plotline of the movie Jurassic Park. In it, they got their special dino DNA from a mosquito found frozen in amber. And while that's purely science fiction, creatures getting trapped in amber isn't. In fact, it happens every day. An insect is crawling in a tree, gets stuck in some sap, and that sap hardens to create amber.
You're not showing you
Scientists have already
dinosaurs.
found
You're
plenty
just
of
showing them
preserved
these facts.
insects
You're
from
not
the
giving me
prehistoric
reasons.
days inside tough shells of sap. It's extremely
escape.
unusual, however, to find an entire lizard trapped in a hunk of Burmese amber. This fantastic specimen once clung to the side of a tree in the forest during the era of both dinosaurs and dragonflies as big as your head buzzing in the sky. It was only a juvenile when it accidentally ran into a huge glob of tree sap and couldn't escape. Over 100 million years later, it's still in almost the exact same condition it was when it first got trapped. The team who studied the frozen lizard had to approach it as if the creature were still alive. Not only could they study the skeleton, but they could look at everything from its double eyelids to its trachea, thanks to its perfect preservation in the amber. Number 1. Fossil within a fossil.
I've seen this. Oh my god. This is that X fish I forget how to pronounce, and it's one of Gilligan's fish whole. I want to see if I'm right.
The skeleton of a prehistoric marine reptile was found by paleontologists in southwestern China. It's a creature called an ichthyosaur, a prehistoric predator that cruised through the world's oceans during the Mesozoic era and hunted with incredible ferocity. This particular marine monster, which looked similar to a dolphin but with really sharp teeth, lived roughly 237 million years ago. But what makes it so fascinating is that when paleontologists looked inside of it, they found a second creature fossilized in its belly. After the ichthyosaur ate its last meal, it also took its last breath. The monster died and ultimately became a fossil, with another fossil in its stomach. As of right now, this is the biggest fossil that's ever been found in the stomach of a prehistoric marine reptile. It's become something of a revelation to paleontologists who previously thought ichthyosaurs only consumed small prey, things such as cephalopods. Now it seems they were eating much larger animals. The thing in its belly was once a thalattosaur, yet another marine predator even larger than modern humans. Just imagine making a find like this with modern creatures.
Alright, one thing I gotta look up. Does she have a top 10 video? Does she have a top 10 guys? Oh my god, this is stupid.
What?
Look at this. Top 10 prehistoric creatures that might still exist. Oh my god. What is this thumbnail?
I have no idea.
Alright, that'll do it for this video, ladies and gentlemen. I absolutely hated this. I did not hate it as much as the original video we watched. We will definitely react to other videos by her. I am not being glad to extinct. What I am glad about is that this video